What if I were to suggest that you play a key role in the awakening world? And that you are watching this because you have heard the call. We can start right now by opening our hearts and minds. Welcome to the awakening world.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Awakening World. I'm Love Coach Scott Thomas, and we have a really fun and interesting and unique show. I got a question for you. For those of you who are in our Zoom room that can chat with us right away, how many of you remember the show I Dream of Jeannie? If you remember I Dream of Jeannie, pop it in the chat box. I'm seeing hands going up. Dana, Vivian. Yeah, okay. And then how many of you remember the show with Karen, Nitya? In fact, I'll go to gallery view for a minute. And how many of you remember the show Bewitched? Who remembers Bewitched, right? I mean, when I was growing up, I wanted to marry Samantha. And I can remember being on the playground, and that was the big thing. Jeannie or Samantha? Jeannie or Samantha? Well, we have with us today a couple that are the modern day version of that. Meet the normal guy, right? The Darren, if you will, and meet, take your pick. Is she Jeannie or is she Samantha? She's Vivian. And Peter married an Arcturian intergalactic channel. And she's much more than that even. So we're gonna learn what's it like to be this guy who's had a fairly normal life. Peter was a technician and kind of a normal guy. And now he is immersed in this really extraordinary life of being married to someone who has this incredible consciousness and awareness. Now, we've had both of these people on our show individually. Vivian is a brilliant channel and has a lot of wisdom to share. And Peter creates this amazing technology that many of us are enjoying. Not this particular pendant, but pendants like that. But we're going to start by learning all about how does this intergalactic connection work? So that's going to be tonight's show. But we're going to get back to Peter and Vivian in a moment because there's two things we got to do first. We definitely need to go to Omashar for an opening song. And I'm really curious, brother, what you chose for this particular show tonight. You're muted, my love. You're muted.
I don't mind being your love. The Trish is somewhere here as well, but I was going to sing "Calling Occupants from Interplanetary Craft" as a Carpenter song that came to my mind. Remember that song? It's about the same ilk as Bewitched, actually. Well, no, maybe a little after, but not so far afterwards. But I have a song called "Going Home." So, we're all going home, and going home intergalactically. So let's do that. Are we gonna say hi to Trish first, or?
Well, I figured I wanted to give Trish a little time to settle in, but we can do that now that you brought it up because it's Wednesday night. and Trish is here. So I guess we have to ask, Trish, did you ever watch either of those shows, I Dream of Jeannie or Bewitched?
I totally watched all of those shows.
You know, you look a little bit like Samantha. Maybe that's why I've always had a little thing for you, because you look a little bit.
I loved that show, and I thought it was particularly wholesome. And what I really loved about them, and this says a lot about me, and y'all who know me know, I always really loved how it was like the feminine chaos, like the feminine chaos, and he was always chasing, like in both of the shows, like they were always chasing the woman around, like what's gonna happen today?
That's right.
Oh, I think it says a lot about me. I was like, oh, I want to be like that.
Right. You've succeeded, my dear. We're all following you. What's Trish up to? Where's Trish now? She's in Florida. She's in Portland. She's in LA. She's in San Francisco. So,
I'm in Lakeport,
you're in
moving
Lakeport
right now
Moving.
today spontaneously, because who knows, whatever rolls around. But I also have a black cat who's my Mr.
Right.
And I love, like, I feel like those two shows really helped whisper the magic of life and kind of give people the opportunity to actually see that there is something that we can't see.
Mm.
Like really like brought it in as a potential and a possibility in a really like aesthetically appealing way. Like, I mean, can we just talk about like in all of the things that are happening there? Ooh. And I really love how those men love their partners.
They did.
The bigness of it. They were just like, okay, here we go. And I love that. So I'm really excited to hear about Peter and Vivian's dynamic and how you keep up, Peter.
Yeah, it's going to be a really fun show. So, all right, well, let's go to Almost Your Song, and then we're going to spend our whole evening with Peter and Vivian. So take it away, brother.
I will. First, we have to do this.
Perfect.
Sorry.
Nitya is doing that too. All right.
Ooh, what is this?
Songs about going home, about hopes and dreams, the ones that open your eyes and you really realize what they are doing with you. It's time to look where we're going and choose our destiny. Our attitude in life that leaves us open to all kinds of things. This is the journey that you take on your own. There are others going with you, yet you do it all alone. All you need is courage. Spirit is with you and the outcome is assured, so there's no need to fear, no reason for worry. You will feel much lighter. Share it amongst your friends. I can't conceive of a world where there's no feeling at all, no time for greater things. Only one that's to enjoy yourself. There's no one better than you to do what you do, to go for anything. This is the journey that you take on your own. There are others going with you, yet you do it all alone. All you need is courage. Spirit is with you and the outcome is assured, so there's no need for worry, no reason for fear. You will feel much lighter.
Beautiful. Perfect first song, my friend.
Good. I'm glad.
Yeah, absolutely perfect. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. All right. We'll have more on Mashar later on tonight, but I'm going to start by introducing Vivian, because let's drop into who she is. And Vivian, Dana, one of the people who's with us, is fascinated with Arcturian. She feels that Arcturian connection. So Vivian is an advanced Arcturian hybrid avatar. She's also a published author, international public speaker, creator of the Arcturian Energy Matrix Healing, a multidimensional way for healing for conscious evolution. She's an advocate for planetary ascension and the owner of Infinite Healing from the Stars. She's the producer and co-host of a popular series podcast called The Infinite Star Connections, and she's featured in 3 multi-award-winning documentary films. So more and more people are really discovering you, Vivian. I think you've really come, I mean, I've been on this scene for 35 years, and you're like this bright star that's just come into our realm, and everybody's like very excited about you. So first of all, welcome back to the Awakening World, and tell us because it is so fascinating, how does that work, being an Arcturian being in a human body?
Thank you so much, Scott, for having me and my beloved husband tonight. What a treat. What a treat to be here. Always a joy to be here with everyone at a Global Tribe Awakening, this amazing community. And I had a joy to be back tonight. And so again, Scott, thank you for having me. Yes, the expansion has been quite phenomenal. And like you mentioned, I like this big, bright star coming in more. That's because for a very long time, I've been asking my Arcturian delegation, when will I be the time for me to step forward or more on the public stage? And they said that the crucial of my coming in publicly was depending on the vibrational alignment on the planet and the awakening of humanity. If I had come too early, then the effect would have been reversed, and we have to maintain the timeline. We have to really preserve the ascension timeline, and especially with the future timeline coming in. So for me, being here on the planet, of course, I've been here for a little while now. I have adapted living the human way as an Arcturian being in this hybrid humanized form. So this is very much more who I am. I am truly an Arcturian being who have returned in this hybrid form, so I can have the proper suit and the proper access to people, be able to do the work, be able to interact without having to look like super ET looking and being 10, 12 feet tall and with 3 digits moving around and telling you, Scott, would you let me come on your Global Awakening Tribe tonight? We'll sing some song with Omashar. You would go like, I don't think so. I'm sparkle some humor here because I want to illustrate a reason as to why taking on this form. And as you will see, we're going to explore how Peter and I came together and why it's so well functioning for us. It's also the extraordinary qualities of Peter because who he really is. And both our journey has been two parallel that has been in the making for a very long time. So the difference for me being an Arcturian being versus a star seed is that I have sent forth a soul emanation of my Arcturian avatar self. I am an aspect of my Arcturian avatar self in a conduit that was engineered by the conscious organic technology of the Arcturians. And this is why the blend is very precise. So even though I look a lot human, think of me as I'm an Arcturian version of myself, but just in a human form. I look a lot like the Arcturians, but just humanized with hair and eyebrows and things like that. So I remember everything from leaving the realm of Arcturus, coming into this timeline where we went to the Stargate from Arcturus, coming to the solar system, the squadron coming in understanding that it was time for me to come into the body, and so that I would be reintroduced to the earth plane. So there's very much a big difference. Starseed usually are soul memory, a soul spark of different intergalactic civilization, where they come in a human form that has been initially created by the union of two human beings. And they come into that form, and sometimes the star family will add some DNA, or they will add maybe some genetic differences to help the star seed to better integrate themselves. But their original vessel is the design, the union of two human beings. It is not the case in my situation. I was engineered, my body was engineered by the Arcturians, and we have also other groups who have helped to maintain the integrity of the template. So we, like Peter is typing right now in the chat room, he knows me. The reason why doing this is that I wanted to come back more as an Arcturian being in order to hold the sacredness, the purity of the frequencies that I wanted to bring directly from the Arcturian delegations, and also to be able to be a continuous transmitter. Like my body is designed to constantly transmit very high level of fast frequencies and codes that's coming in. So whenever I travel and I'm in conferences, or I go to do retreat, or I go to places where I'm going to be doing very level of sacred encoding, they know that my physical form is completely built to bring in the codes, and I can see those codes. They're like pixel of light coming into my crown, because my chakra system is a bit different. My brain is wired differently. So the codes come through, and it's through my DNA, then the codes are being retransmitted into the grids. We just came back from England, and that's one thing we've done, is working on the rainbow energy body of the earth and the planetary Merkaba, and the grid system. So the codes were coming through me, and we were encoding those codes directly in different sacred sites like Stonehenge, Avebury, the circle of the stones there across the field, and we were traveling through Glastonbury to do that. So even though it's, you interact with me, I smile, I have the language, I have the demeanors, I have all the adaptation of what a human being looks like and feels like, I am very much an intergalactic being. It's just that I am in this form so I can do the work that I've come to do, if that makes sense.
I love that. What I love is how clear you are about your heart, and how, I mean, as a person who also has the different way of being and thinking, I love how clear you are to explain that to people, because I think that's an opportunity for all of us to lean in and to really get to know you. I'm curious about your beloved, and about how, from your perspective, like how you magnetized him to you, or him to you. Yeah. You to him, or him to you, or like, how did this happen?
Love it. Trish, thank you so much for acknowledging the clarity. I am much more clear than I was even 20 years ago. That's because of one thing, when that's true for everybody, that's a piece of wisdom. Accept who you are. The moment you say, yes, this is who I am, I accept and I embrace, I become the secret embodiment of that part of me that is beyond the 3D personality portrait. You go beyond the 3D density, archetypes and paradigms and belief system. And you said, this is who I am. And I am at peace with this. And I decide I choose more than ever to embrace the fullness of the spectrum of who I am. Then the doors open and the clarity, the discernment, the anchoring, everything start to flow. And I'm here on a really huge planetary mission. So it was super important for me to step forward. So let's come back to Peter and a great question you asked, Trish. Actually, as a teenager, Peter archetype as a man, if you look, blonde, blue eyes, physically, his height, his body structure. So his masculine archetype was already in my field, because I remember as a teenager, I would be attracted to boys or teenager who look exactly like Peter. That's always been my type. There's always that knowingness of my heart is drawn to that. Of course, none of them would look at me because I look really weird growing up as a teenager. My body was very underdeveloped, and I was growing and developing very, very slowly. So I look really weird, but it's always been in my resonance field. And I understand it today that in reality, Peter and I at a soul level, we were already interconnecting. We were already communicating. And so we were always in that connection field. And we knew that at some point, the parallel of our timeline will cross at a perfect conjunction in the timing of where we both were ready to be with each other and then to really take it off from there. And we've been together for a little bit over 5 years, married for going on 3 years. And I can tell in 5 years, we have shifted things around, opened the map of the world, and really introduced the energy of who we are significantly. And we're being stepped forward more and more into our role here, but together as well, there's a soul recognition. And I knew that, like I mentioned, he was always in my field. And so when I first met him, I look at him, I'm like, there's a drawn, what is going on? And I'm thinking this is impossible. I'm a hybrid. How am I going to tell that to someone? Imagine living with me 24/7. It's a whole different story. My aura is super big. My energy is large. I have huge intergalactic group. It's always very busy around me. And I'm like, no offense to masculine energy, but Earth human being, you won't be able to handle me. It's too much. It really is. So Peter arriving like angels singing, and it was amazing. It was like a dream come true. And I told the team, I said, but he was always in my field. I recognize his archetype. And they said, yes, you've been preparing for him since you were 15, 16 years old. You knew that this is where we're going. And in fact, if I may add something fun to that, many, many years before we met, I was taken out of body in the astral plane by my French grandmother, who passed when I was 16. She came back that day and she said telepathically, let me guide you to a room. I need to show you something. And she was showing me an aspect of the map of my life, what's coming in. And she was showing me there was three men sitting down next to each other. And right away I got excited and I told her, I said, the blonde with the blue eyes, he's the one. And she said, yes, but you have to follow the map. You can't accelerate everything. And I go like, oh, I want him. He is the one. And she goes, you have to go through the map. So it took us quite a few years, but once we're here, it changed everything. I wouldn't be able to do everything that I'm doing right now, especially on an international level with all the travels, the conferences, the speaking engagements, the retreat. We're doing so much more work without having Peter around. It's impossible.
Well, I think with that beautiful setup, it's probably time to bring him on. So, ladies and gentlemen, the lucky man, the Darren of our time, the modern day Darren, married to Vivian. This is Peter.
Yes.
Hey, Peter.
Thank you, Scott, and thank you for having us on. It's been a privilege. Last time we were on, and thanks for having us both on at the same time. And like it's exploring our relationship.
Yeah, well, it's really fun. And so, Peter, question for you: what is it like being married to such an extraordinary being?
Her energy is quite high, pretty much all the time. And she is an air element, so she gets spun up quite well. Not all the time, but she does. Um, so it's been a journey, actually. When we first got together, I noticed my vibration actually raising and going up faster, just to keep up. Um, I wasn't actually prepared for that kind of energy. It just was, because of my path and what I was going through and what I was coming from. It was a lot, let's say, a lot slower of a vibration than I was experiencing with Vivian. So it was a definite life change. If anybody has actually worked with Vivian, and when she speaks and she talks, she projects a lot of energy. So being in the environment with Viv, 24/7, she is very powerful. And it's been a lot of fun. And it's been really growing for myself too. We've actually grown quite a bit together. Um, Her actually having someone that can balance her and keep the energy, absorb her energy without popping, and being able to keep up, and in her learning to be able to have somebody there that I can support her in a full manner.
I love that. I love love. And what I really love is when people just allow other people to be themselves and just be like, I love you there. And that is one of the things that really
Yeah.
it just makes my heart and soul sing. Right? Okay. Here's the question. When did you know she was different? Did she tell you? Did she like fair warn you? Or were you like, this one's different?
Okay, so that's actually a really good question. Actually, I knew she was different long before we dated. I was going through, let's just say, life reorganization, readjustments, and all that going on. And I started going to meditation, sound baths, and stuff like that. And I just found Vivian. She was doing classes at Storm Wisdom, doing meditations, and I would come into those fairly regularly, when I had the capability to go. And then there was a gap there because I was dealing with a lot of things. And then we went back in. Um, and then I basically went in and I asked the teacher out. Yeah. I was kind of fumbling
Well,
around it, but I did. And okay.
And at what point, Vivian, did you recognize him?
I like that, Scott, because what Peter mentioned is that here in Arizona in the valley, there was this really beautiful store called Storm Wisdom, and I was a teacher there for 7 years when they had a community room. So I met a lot of people in the community that way. This is how I started to really bring the energy to teaching. And my team was coaching me in terms of what was the next step of evolution and what was necessary to anchor at one point in time. Meanwhile, Peter start his own spiritual journey, coming into a huge life change, a soul change also. And from there, when Peter started to come to me, as I mentioned earlier, the archetype of him as a masculine energy start to come back in my memory field. And I look at it and I'm like, I told my team, I always communicate with my delegation and go, ooh, there's something about this one. There's something unique about this one. And they said, yes. But at the same time, the part of me that is used to live here goes, oh, yeah, right. A gentleman, right, the archetype that I like, coming to a spiritual event. He's taking 3 turns. I mean, I'm sure he must be, either married, has a girlfriend. He's too good to be true, right? But the thing is that every time he was coming into my classroom, there was something, another energy. It's almost like we were just readjusting our vibration. And what kind of sealed the deal. And then after that, that's how Peter came back and says, okay, this time I want to ask you out. Is during one of the meditation, one of my signature that I do is after the meditation, I do some readings for everyone. I've been reading the tarot cards for over 20 years. I know them so well, I just sneeze on them, I can see exactly what they want to say. So I have my deck with me, my old friends, and I said that night to the group, I'm going to personalize a message because I love to personalize to everybody. I'm very attentive to people come to my events, whether it's online or in person. And what happened that night is that Peter, the card I got, and it won't sound like a cliche here, but it's true life events, everyone. The card I got was the Knight in Shining Armor. And I look at the card and I told Peter, I said, you like this knight and a white horse is coming in. You have the card of the Knight in Shining Armor. And I remember that later on, he told me that it has an impact on him, what I told. And it was right there in the card. I mean, I just have to read. It was very obvious. But what is even greater than the tarot reading is when Peter came back that famous day of Saturday, March 24th, 5 years ago. I remember the date. He came back that day for the meditation. He brought me a mighty gift, but I'll let him explain what he did. And at the end of the meditation, he waited for everyone to leave, exit the room, and he was lingering around me like a bee around a flower. And he goes like, well, and he was kind of shy. He wanted to ask me if I want to go out, have something to eat with him, like lunch or something. But he was kind of moving around. So my answer was just as vague because I was not in that field. I was not understanding what was really happening. And so my group, my InterGalactic group came in going, shaking their head. They said, you're not getting this. I'm like, apparently I am not. And they said, repeat word for word what we're going to tell you. Tell him you're hungry. I said, team, I am not. You are. Yes, you are. Tell him. So I switched my energy, disconnected from the oblivious and dimensional space, and I'm shifting in and out. And I look at Peter and I said, you know what? Providing meditation to people makes me hungry. And he lit up. He went, huh? And then he asked me out. He said, would you like to come with me to grab lunch or something like that? And this is, I would say that was the initial spark that began right here, right now. And after that, we spent quite a bit of hours talking. And this is why we started to understand that morphogenic field that we were in for years and years on at a soul level was going to manifest in physical, tangible form. From that lunch on that Saturday, March 24th, 5 years ago, turned out that 3 months later, we were moving in together.
Wow, that is a beautiful, beautiful story. I'm going to bring Peter Trish back on for a minute. So now, is that just kind of because you are so unique, or is that common? Like, is there some Mr. Trish out there, and Mr. Trish and Trish's morphic fields are already dancing before they come together? Is that a fairly common experience, or is it kind of unique to your Arcturian support team?
A fabulous question. My team does speak in a language that is very unique to us. The thing is that Peter and I already had a soul agreement So there was a way for us to energetically already recognize each other. And it was very, very clear for me in the sense that if I look at Peter, it's always been that kind of energy that I've always been drawn to. And so when he came along, it felt that everything was coming together very well. And I knew that it would took someone very unique. I've always known it's either I have to be with another ET being like myself, or it has to be an angelic being. So I knew that the frequency has to be either a star being or an angelic being, one of the other frequencies to be able to really handle me on a day to day. I mean, to have me on the show or to see me in the conference is one thing. When you live with me 7 days a week, I mean, there's always portal opening. My energy is just huge. And I know that even if when I feel like I'm quiet and say nothing, my energy still speaks. So it's a different dynamic. And Peter is built in a way that, he's very humble, is looking human and everything. But something extraordinary happened when Peter and I really got together. When our heart and our soul start to magnetize toward each other, something wonderful happened. Is right behind what we call is abstract field. I saw a vision, like the energy, like a doorway open up, and I saw, and I always, all my life, I will see it in my third eye. I saw 1,000 angelic being completely like in alignment in this field in perfect harmonization. And they were all wearing some kind of armor with the same symbol on it. And in one unity voice, all 1,000 of them, in one voice, they said, please understand who this is. We are his brothers and sisters. And they show me that Peter, at a soul level, come from that soul group of angelic being under Archangel Michael directly. And this is a symbol they were wearing. Of course, it was a symbology to help me understand who Peter was truly. So what they said is that we are sending you this guardian angel to you, this protector, that you know him as Peter. And I've always going to remember my entire life to see them in such a perfect harmonized way, 1,000 of them, and to introduce him to me. This is all I knew. I'm like, okay, he's the one I've seen in my vision.
Wow. When did you tell him that? When did you share? Well, I got it. Trish is clapping away, so I'm going to bring on delighted, happy Trish. When did you share that with him? Like, how did you two then start interacting, and how quickly did you communicate about the cosmic side of things?
Great question, Scott. Honey, do you remember when I told you? It was at the beginning. I told you quite early on that I saw that about you. Do you remember?
Yeah, no, it was one of the, I think it was actually one of the events you had that you saw that as well. That you had, that I was there, that you actually showed me that, yeah, you're an angelic being and the army's behind you. I think it was after you showed me the knight in shining armor card. Yeah, and then after that, it was more of an understanding and an understanding where you were from. Yeah, well, I kind of understood that coming to the events, and you were connecting to the Arcturian every single time we went to the event. So it was a lot of fun.
Mm. So, Peter, as you're hearing all of this, to what degree were you just completely blown away? And to what degree was it stimulating a deeper memory, oh my God, that's right, I remember this?
It was when I was going, let's go back up a little bit. As I was going through that transition that we had talked about, I put out it's just like, okay, I am now ready for my one or my twin flame or whatever you want to call it. And I let it out to the universe and basically just let it go. And then I went out and I started doing the things that I was trying to rediscover who I was, and exactly that. And when I went to Vivian's things, all of a sudden now I'm understanding, okay, the energy that I project is a knight in shining armor. And now or the next one was, okay, well, you're an angel and I see 1,000 angels behind you in armor. And it's just like, okay. So I'm starting to understand more and more of who I am and the energies and the vulnerabilities and the kind of things that the demeanor of an angelic being versus a normal, normal human was explaining these things to me. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense. And we try to understand, more of who I am and the energies behind it. And it became really more of a knowing that we were supposed to be together. It wasn't. That would mean we literally within 3 months we were moving into it with each other. I was just like, we just knew. It was like bumping into somebody that you've known for a very, very long time. It's like, oh, I remember you, and that was it, done.
Wow. A question for you, and Peter, we're getting a couple of people asking if you could raise your volume, if you know how to turn the volume up, so we can hear you a little bit louder.
Okay.
And Dana has a question, which is, what is it like in the Arcturian star system? Before you answer that, I got so excited about you, I forgot to do something I always do on every show, which is invite our audience to join the Global Peace Tribe. Most of the people watching right now are watching on Facebook. John and Summer Raymer are friends with the Sign Network, put us out over sometimes 150 Facebook groups and pages. So for all of you watching on Facebook, and you got questions for Vivian and Peter, come on into the Zoom room. Come join the Global Peace Tribe. And it's really easy to do that. Just go to globalpeacetribe.com, globalpeacetribe.com. There's the Twin Ray. I was with them for an hour and a half today. And we have amazing people, amazing shows. And you click register for the new season. And when you click register for the new season, it takes you to our registration page. We do 3 or 4 shows every week with amazing co-hosts, interesting guests like the 2 people you're meeting tonight. And every show has different topics. So for example, last week, we did a little trip down memory lane and took a look at some of our favorite past moments. And then we had a beautiful show about being inside a thriving Twin Ray community. And then on Sunday, authors that we love. And we had 3 amazing authors sharing about their books. And all of our shows are very interactive, lots of questions. We're going to get to questions from our audience now. So join us. And when you join, you'll get the links to all of our shows for the next 3 months, the Zoom room links. So come and join the Global Peace Tribe. It's easy, it's fun. We're a beautiful, growing community. And we're going to learn more. And also, you're going to learn about other communities. Like tonight, we're going to learn more about the community growing around Vivian. And that actually leads us back to the question, because there are more and more people remembering their roots, their heritage. So, Vivian, kind of 2 questions. What is it like in our Arcturus? And for people that are in more human bodies, maybe they're not quite as adapted as your body is, but what are some of the ways people can get in touch with being of Arcturian heritage?
One thing you said, Scott, that is very real in the fact that many more people are awakening. They're rediscovering what's called aspect of their soul ancestry or their soul heritage. Just like Peter and I as a couple, we're this beautiful marriage of an intergalactic soul aspect with an angelic soul aspect in these physical form. So it's very much, high frequency coming together and how we balance out each other. One little piece of wisdom I always give everyone: when you are truly ready to attract love in your life, let's say a partner in your life, I always recommend that when you clear your mind, it's nothing to do with your mind, when you bring into the gateway of your heart and you breathe into the gateway of your heart, opening the field, ask the universe, I am now ready to welcome in my life my most compatible soulmate. And when you say it this way, you know that it's that resonance, natural resonance of heart connection to heart connection. because asking for a soulmate, it may come in the form of a teacher, a friend, a neighbor. It can be someone you meet and you think this is it, it's a soulmate. It doesn't mean that it will be it. So you have to rephrase it in a way that when you ask for your most compatible soulmate, that energy is coming back to you this way. And right before Peter and I got together, I told the team, I says, okay, this is where I put my boundaries. I'm here on a very big mission. It's challenging for me on the planet, very difficult to move through physicality as an Arcturian being in this very specialized form. I ask that I want my most compatible soulmate with me in order to ease the journey. And we'll continue to do the work. We're going to continue to work, but this is my requirement. This is what I need on the planet. And the answer I got is yes. Request accepted and received. Now let it go and go back to your mission. And they always keep telling me, stay focused, stay in alignment, stay in your light, continue. But I would say, well, yeah, but what about, no. The answer has been received and accepted. Let it go. Let it manifest. And this is how Peter came about. So I just want to add this layer because I feel like this is very, very important, especially for those who are ready to bring a companion or a partner in your life. So to bring that energy, once your heart is send a request, let it grow, let it come to you. So what does Arcturus as a system looks like? Well, Arcturus for us is more of a realm. We call it the realm of unification. It's a realm where our civilization has driven and expanded and reached a level of enlightenment over millions of years. But the thing, the Arcturians as a civilizations, we are very, very ancient. Even Edgar Casey, the sleeping prophet, would talk about his interaction with us and recognize us as one of the most enlightened ancient civilization interacting with your planet, which is true. We've been around for probably at least 3-4 millions of years interacting with the solar system alone. So we've been around a long time. So it is truly a realm where souls come traveling. Some soul will cycle in several lifetimes as an Arcturian to learn our ways, to teach, to let the soul evolution to take place with our elders, our councils, our teachers, and then those souls continue on. So what happened is that many of those souls come back to the planet and coming from different star systems or different realm of existence, but they have a profound connection to the Arcturians. Well, of course you do, because first you can be an ancient soul, your resonance with us, your resonance with our heart, our frequency, who we are. Second, in your soul ancestry, if you look at your intergalactic tree of life, you may have a very distinct branch of connections that once upon a time you may have dwelled in our realm for a few lifetimes. And it's something that you brought at the memory at the soul level to help you in this lifetime. So you will have that connection to the Arcturians. Others will have Arcturian guides. We work with a lot of light workers around the world. We're helping them to guide, teach, help them to bring in the next level of consciousness, healing techniques, memories, wisdom. And there will be those who are Arcturian star seed. That means that they are soul emanation directly from our groups, and they have come to reincarnate in a human template or a human body. That means, again, the union of two humans that conceive a child and the soul come into the body. And I would say I have met a few true genuine Arcturian star seeds, and they always speak all of the same. The challenge for them, the challenge for us to be on the planet is immense. We come from a realm of complete enlightenment, unification, where there's no polarization, there's no personality like this. There's a lot of things here that feel so weird because we're out of our elements. So I just want to illustrate different ways how to recognize what is your connections to us. But of course, we offer guidance to everyone. There's no limitation because you are a Sirians or you are a Pleiadians or you're an elemental. we're going to work with everyone who show the spiritual maturity, the heart opening to really significantly bring the light paradigm to the planet. So that's for sure. So I am attempting to answer a multitude of questions in different facets. Yes, thank you. So I hope that was helpful.
Very, very helpful. So I'm going to start reading questions from people. Dorina Joy asks, Vivian mentioned a very important mission. Can you share more about it, both individually as a couple and also the Arcturians' role in the ascension of humanity and Mother Earth Gaia?
That's a big question. If it's okay, Scott, with your permission, I'd like to bring Peter to
Yes,
answer that
absolutely.
with me.
Yeah. There he is. Oh,
Thank you. I wanted to bring Peter with me on that one because Peter received also lots of direct message from me, directly from my collective, and of course, is Archangel Connections. And he oftentimes comes and says, okay, babe, now just let's ground. I got things to tell you. And what he says is very helpful for me to get a bigger picture and detach from the little details. Sometimes I want to help so much that I get hooked on little details or one-on-ones and helping individually. And he says, babe, you're here for something much bigger than that. So aspect of my mission is very much first, I have been for the last 10 years and more, already a decade, I cannot believe it, of public services. We have been stabilizing the ascension timeline to ensure that we were entering that ascension timeline, which we have. I guess all odds, it doesn't matter. We have entered a timeline already at this point. And I've been helping a lot of people worldwide to heal and restore themselves back to the sacred embodiment of who they are. This is just a very quick summary, but we do so much more than that. I do a lot of off-planet work. I work a lot with different star delegations, star regency councils, Federation of Light. We have a lot. Of the time I'm out of body, back into my Arcturian form, and we're everywhere. And I come back here and I return to the planet, and then I can do all day long healing sessions. So my mission is multifaceted. At the same time, ultimately, I'm here to support the movement of an entire planet. I'm here for planetary ascension. I'm here to really support to the future timeline that we're about to enter. There's a conjunction coming in this year, 2024, 2025. So we are in that direction. I'm here to really stabilize the future timeline. And eventually I'm going to be authorized by the Arcturian Council of Elders to bring back to the planet very specific, ancient, very ancient teachings that is part of the spherical archive of the Arcturian in our realm, and only a true Arcturian being can have access to these archives. And it's always per permission through the elders and our council. And there's going to be aspect of these archives will be reopened, so to speak. And we're going to bring that back here in the form of teachings. And that's also encoded in the codons of my DNA. In time, there's some aspect of my codons going to be starting to release those codes and the teaching coming through, but it's still too soon right now. And that's just in a nutshell of my mission. So I'm going to let Peter add to it. You know what you always tell me, babe, about what you see for me. So I'm going to let you say that.
Yes. It was what you're doing the one-on-ones up until now, and it was in order to basically get through and help and basically raise the vibration on everybody that you work with. And of course they radiate out and impact everybody around them, so you're actually impacting the planet right there anyway. But what I was shown through, it was Michael that came in, was that Viv is going to be doing teaching, and she'll be teaching from the Arcturian and other star systems as well, because of her DNA and her connection to the higher dimensional field. they're going to be able to transmit a lot more information through Vivian and a lot faster and more efficiently. So she'll be able to teach all kinds of different species and different races versions of the healing techniques. So that's to come. And then when that is basically turned over to others that can do the teaching so that we can actually propagate this across the planet, she's going to move on to more of a ambassadorial role, where she's going to be talking and communicating with all these races that she's been working with to help heal the planet and, you know, bring healing and, you know, light energy to all the different races out there. So
And that's a good point about that. And I can see sometimes I see different portals opening, and each portal has a different vibrational signature to them. And it's connect to a race or a civilization. And sometimes they come to me and they said, we come to ask for your help because we know who you are. They see me as a nocturne. They never see me as a human being. You see me as a human being because that's a projection. But when I interact with other civilizations or other groups, they always sees me as a Nocturian. And oftentimes they'll come to me for help. Either it's to restore something that's been disconnected or activate something, help them to heal, help them to go through the next level. And I have different groups have already started to come to me for this kind of work.
Mm.
Thank you so much. I love the, gosh, my brain isn't as working as fast. Like, you know, I've like finally figured out all the, like, you know, I've been in school for a long time, and now I just have like a whole week of where my brain is going. And so now I just feel like I want to speak in caricatures and like Trish sign language. Just like, so I want to say thank you both for just being so honest about your love and how you're working it out in the world. You know, I think this is incredibly important because everyone is different and we all are learning how to best support each other. And I think that's it. It's just juicy, just sweet and juicy.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, I don't have a question. I just want to say
Darina has a question. So Darina asks, I also have another question. I consider myself an Arcturian starseed, and I'm really wanting to open up more of my interdimensional communication, especially with the Arcturians. I feel it's part of the next phase of my soul mission. Are there any suggestions from either of you or from them?
Yes, absolutely. As a Nocturian starseed, one of the big challenges that the starseeds have is to unwind themselves from all of the mental, emotional, chaotic energies that most people still unconsciously project in our field. And it's part of the old three-dimensional matrix reality. So all this duality, fragmentation, pull, it can be easy to get caught up in it, especially for an Arcturian starseed. We are ultra sensitive, we're even dimensionally sensitive. So one thing I would like to recommend is when you talk, and that's true for anyone, but especially a starseed, when you feel that you wish to communicate with the Arcturians, we can hear, receive, and feel your thought forms. So each thought will represent a form. It's like a tangible energy that has a stamp on it, so to speak, and it carry all of your intention, even what is unspoken. So that thought form will be received. Now, the way we communicate back to you will depend on the quality, if you have multiple filters or if your conduit is more open. So clear your mind. 3D mind has nothing to do with that whatsoever. No doubt, no fear. There's no place for that. So no doubt, no fear, clear your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Bring yourself back into the resonance field of your heart. It sounds like a cliche, but I'm telling you, it is the powerhouse. Bring yourself back into your heart center. Take a deep breath and feel like you're sending out a request to your heart. It's a thought form. Your higher mind bridge with your heart. It says, I am ready to communicate with you. It is received at the speed of thought. Now they will reply back to you for sure. They may not be as well spoken and clear as Trish mentioned earlier, the way we are speaking to you right now. But you rest assured that whichever channel is the best for you, whether it's clairknowingness, whether it's a sensation, a feeling that suddenly there's a presence and you feel reassured, you feel loved, feel protected, you feel guided. There's much way. So allow yourself the sacred practice of this. It is a sacred art. And at the same time, it is accessible and you can practice every day. Really, really trust yourself, heart energy, transmit. They will reply to you. You need to clear the filters. It really is. You are awesome as well. Thank you.
I'm going to read a couple comments and then a question from Mark Danisovsky. Dia writes, Vivian, there are no words to tell you of my gratitude to you for expressing this. I resonate strongly with what you were gifting us, and I'm guessing quite a few on this call feel similarly. And Mark, I'm going to actually bring you on camera and you can ask your question directly.
Unmute, Mark.
You're still muted, Mark.
I saw that gesture though.
You're still muted, Mark. Somehow your microphone is not plugged in, or while that's happening.
I got it.
Okay, there you go.
There we go. Sorry about that. I've been told that I have Arcturian guides. It is a description of a 9-foot tall blue being, an Arcturian. And also I've heard that Mozart had an Arcturian guide. Do the Arcturians have a deep inspirational involvement with music and musicians?
That's a beautiful question. So do you have an Arcturian guide? You do. Arcturians has the ability to project to their holographic light body a shape or form or even colors and may be more in tune with you. We are not necessarily blue. When I go to the ship and I look at my Arcturian father and the others on the ship, we can reflect a resonance blue or purple if we choose to, but ultimately they have the most lovely, the loveliest, clear, almost translucent, gentle, creamy energy. Even my skin doesn't even do it justice. Imagine that resonance right now. Look at my skin, and it's very much out of this world. So we have the capacity to project that energy through this beautiful bluish energy, and oftentimes Arcturian will be depicted as blue. That's because it's largely due that the blue energy is one of the most commonly seen light spectrum ray that human beings can perceive. There are other beings who are more of a bluish, like Andromedans, some are bluish. Vegans can have this bluish skin, Syrians, depending on. But for us, we're simply a projection. Yes, 9 feet tall, that's about a smaller spectrum. I'm personally about 10 feet tall. Father is between 12 and 15 feet tall. So 9 feet tall is pretty much fit the bill on average. Music is dependent on how it is perceived. Do we have some kind of musical higher tonality affinity? In that sense, yes. But for you here on this earth, you will translate that as music, but it's in the same spectrum of resonance. So in that sense, yes, we like to utilize sacred tones as a form of communication, and also we'll call it music. Arcturians work with many artists, whether it's visionary, painters, it can be musicians, depending on what is the resonance of the soul mission of that particular artist. And I would not be surprised at all if Mozart had a connection to the Arcturians, especially in that time frame and what he was creating. You have to look at Mozart or any very highly evolved musician that way. You can tell if you read between the frequency of the notes, there was something else behind this.
That was the next thing I was going to say, is that, I think it's possible to play any kind of music and use it as a carrier wave for intention. Like when I'm playing, there are people there's an incredible composer who lives in Tucson named Steve Roach, who he did an album called Dreamtime Return, which is just the most astounding kind of space music, but heartfelt. And so that's kind of a literal expression of that type of music. But I feel that it's possible in any kind of music to infuse it with that energy, the intentional energy of healing or evolution, or refining the DNA of a person who's listening. So that's what I'm always trying to do. I'm performing in a theater right now, and I always have the idea that, I'm playing in an 800-seat theater, so I'm trying to communicate through the music, which I have to play, which is kind of Venetian, Italian street music. My intention is to transmit all the time in these unexpected locations, these higher vibrations. So, if you could comment on that, yeah, I think any kind of music, it's possible to convey that.
Oh, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more, Mark. And in fact, music, if you look at the composition of all the instrument, the notes, the octave that comes together, as you know, you're a musician yourself. If you listen carefully, it can create such a symphonic of energies that bring in sacred tones. It can be different form of languages. It came out, whether it's an inspiration to the Arcturians, whether it's through other intergalactic delegations. And I will add, even on the angelic level, I personally had a joy of hearing with my physical ears a choir of angelic beings coming to my room, singing high level of praises to the Creator, because they were announcing the presence of an archangel coming to my room. And I stayed there physically with my eyes open. It's just, well, I closed my eyes and I was completely awake, and I could hear these tones vibrating into my body. And then they asked me a question: would you accept the presence of this archangel who wants to communicate with you? And I says, yes, I accept. So this is just another example to illustrate that it's absolutely beautiful. And if you notice, including yourself, you will have guides that will guide you. You can tell at the soul level, this is part of your mission to bring back those sacred tones, the healing, the vibration, the frequencies through that sacred heart. Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mark, for being with us and asking those questions. And I'm going to bring Peter on for a moment, because we actually have a couple of questions for you, Peter. Fran from Facebook asked, Peter, what did you tell your parents or your closest friends about Vivian?
I think it was, I was talking to my mother, and it was actually rather interesting. And it's like, I sent the webpage, and she read on it, but I think she was more challenged with the fact that I'm angelic, and she was like, "Oh, hell no." After what I put her through when I was a teenager, she's like, "Oh, no, you're not, no." She just refuses to believe it.
Wow, that's funny. That's funny. Peter, while we have you, tell us about your technologies. You've taken what you were trained in kind of the more mainstream world and applied it now to the pendants and the technologies that you create.
Yeah, it was part of my journey where I learned how to make the anklets from Archangel Metatron. And from that point on, it was channeling messages and information to actually create pendants based on the crystal foundation and understandings that Metatron had, given me. And we've created some amazing energy tools based on tensor rings and crystals. And it's all organic. I would have never have thought to put the 5 crystals that he had actually told me to put together to make an anklet. I hadn't even heard of morganite or tanzanite when he gave me the list. So I was like, oh, okay. If I go find those and figure what those do. But we've created some amazing tools. The Metatron pendant, the Michael pendant, which is amazing. The Archangel Shamuel for post-traumatic stress and heavy stress and trauma. And the multidimensional, which is everybody absolutely loves when they're wanting to do more on the multidimensional level, or Akashic record reading, and going further. All the time. It's like adding training wheels to give you a little bit boost when you're doing your energy work, and it just always advances you just a little bit more. So the tools are absolutely phenomenal, and we're coming. There's got more of these things. The tools coming out now with the entity protection one, and we're coming out with a Starseed collection a little bit later. But the tools, I was guided from Slim Sperling on the tensor ring, and then once I had that down, it was Metatron came in. It's like, oh, by the way, put some crystals in there and see what happens. And it's like, oh, okay. And from there, it's just grown, and the energies from them are very much unique to each one of them. And the testimonials I get back from people is amazing, just to say the least. And people have some amazing journeys and in their path, and healings and all these other things. I've been blessed with that knowledge from Metatron and the channeled information from Michael and Shamuel.
So I first met you through Tangela and Soul Search, and the link that I have for you is your Soul Search page. Is this the best place for people to reach you, or is there a better place for them to learn more about your work independence?
My main website is energiesofservice.com.
Okay.
That's the primary location where you can get me, but I'm also on Soul Search. I'm on Facebook and YouTube and Instagram and all over the place, working on getting on Pinterest as well, so that people can understand and see the different aspects of it.
Here you are. Here's energy. So his website is energiesofservice.com, where you can learn all about his amazing journey. And you can start seeing some of the energy tools that he creates. And again, these are all angelically guided using tensor technology and crystals, natural energy. They're handcrafted. And look at these beautiful, beautiful pendants, just gorgeous. So these are really, really quite special. And again, these all did they all come through from Metatron, or do they come from different angelic influences?
Well, the anklets were originally from Metatron, and that was very specific. And then the Metatron pendant came from necessity. It was a friend of ours who was an accountant, and I lent her a pair of the anklets so that she can get through tax time. And she absolutely loved them. But her husband was giving her too much flack for wearing the woo-woo tools. So within a couple of days, she gave them back to me. And at that point, I was like, okay, Metatron, what am I doing? How can we make this work? And this is where the pendants came in. And once they were designed and they were built out, then we could actually utilize that. And nobody would think twice about wearing a pendant and just putting one on. Nobody would care. It's just now it becomes invisible. So, and then from there, as I was making those, I basically got a download, put these crystals in, and that one became the Michael pendant. And beautiful. As I was building the Michaels, it's like, oh, put these 3 tensor rings together and put those crystals in it. And that was the multidimensional. So I get the downloads as I'm working on the tools, as I'm building.
And is that like, how much time do you spend each day creating all these beautiful works of arts, these pendants, these anklets? Is it kind of your main thing, or do you kind of go into periods of time where you're building them and other times where you're doing other parts of your life?
I do like, what do you want to call it? I'll do right now where we have runs of builds. I'll do a whole bunch of copper work, and then I'll come back and then I'll do a bunch of the crystal work, and then the resin, and then other stuff. So it's actually more of like a process flow. So there's a lot of work involved in actually creating them. So I'll do from one step to another step, and then one day I'll work on the website, or I'll be writing, or so it's balancing all the different hats of running a business on top of trying to build everything.
Beautiful. All right. Well, thank you, Peter. Another question for you, Vivian, and this is from our beloved Deborah. She asks, My question to Vivian would be, what are the Arcturians foreseeing for the close future for planet Earth? And what and when are they bringing to the planet? Will they be bringing medicine, sacred crystalline healing chambers? What can you share in that direction?
You have to think about that when we talk about the timeline. This is how we perceive time. We're Arcturians and many other intergalactic groups. We're coexisting outside of this 3D time construct. So we perceive time from a completely different perspective. And we have the ability to monitor multiple timelines and to see which one has the most potential. And of course, everything fluctuates depending on, people consciousness evolving, how the planet evolves. So if you look at the Earth herself, what the last 3-4 years have done, it has brought the energy of the dark light polarity and create a counter response into the light. What it means is that many more people are stepping to the plate or stepping into who they are. They want to create either eating center. They're going to come together. They want to reconnect to the community. It is important to reconnect ourselves so our heart be in harmony with all life forms. Honor the animal of your planet. Honor your earth. Honor every grain of grass as you're honoring yourself. Honor the trees. Understanding that it's an ecosystem of life that is evolving. And so when we see hurt humans hurting an animals or the earth herself, well, you're hurting your own self. So that's a big shift that we're seeing moving more and more out. We need to step out of the pain, suffering, separation paradigm. It's just a paradigm that needs to imperatively be reversed and shift around. You can do this every day just by choosing what aspect of your life, where are you investing yourself the most? Where are you, period, the most every day? That is shifting. Can you imagine just through this global tribe community together, we have the ultimate power to transcend all of this and says, we're going to accelerate what we call the paradigm of the new earth. It is completely coming in. So it's important for you to observe your thoughts, your emotions, your belief system, the energy. You are pure energy. So what you are emanating, radiating every single day contribute in that directions. So what we're seeing is that a big change in that way. I see a grand return of coming back together in that sense. And that is what's called living by the essentials every day. So we can see that there's a lot of movement going on the planet this year, 2023, as we're going from June, even all the way to October, November, that is already planting seeds for 2024 and then leads the way for 2025. Those are just movement through the timeline. There's no prediction. And that's another invitation we invite you to have is release yourself from the needs of having prediction or to watching the stars or astrology and calculating charts. It is no longer as valid as it used to be. And Peter says something brilliant about this. And I would like him in a moment to tell me, what is it you told me about all of this recently?
It's, if you go back and look at all the different horoscope type energies and the way the alignment of the planets are, all of these are based on observations and understandings that have been for thousands of years, thousands and thousands of years, to the point where they are very 3D grounded. Now, they are still relevant, but they're not as relevant as they used to be. If we are raising our vibration and the entire solar system is already more advanced in its vibration than we are, that means all of the aspects are going to be slightly off key or just out of tune from the understandings and documentation that we were understanding for the last couple thousand years. So while they might be semi-accurate, they're not going to be 100% as what people are expecting them to be. So if it's a 3D understanding, it's not going to quite fit that puzzle in 5D.
Beautiful. While we've got you there, by the way, there is a question. Someone was wanting to know about the pyramid behind you. if you could share a little bit more about the structure. And then we're going to bring Tangela on in a moment. But to tell us about the pyramid behind you.
Absolutely. Well, it's a Giza pyramid. It's in our healing room. It's 10 foot by 10 foot. It's really large, takes up a very large footprint in our room. And it's not exactly a healing coil at the top there. It's a whole bunch of, let's say about 6 or 7 tensor rings. And they're creating energy vortexes at different frequencies that are actually being projected into the individual who is in the actual pyramid when Vivian does her work. And right behind me, you'll notice that there's a Merkaba hanging right from the peak, and it's got a rose quartz in it. The Merkaba actually amplifies the pyramid about 10-fold. So it's very calming energy when you're inside that pyramid, and a lot of energy movement when you're in there.
Beautiful.
We grid the entire room and the pyramid, all that for basically trying to keep the energies very specific to a healing environment.
Beautiful. Well, we met you, Peter, through our beloved Tangela, and she has just dropped in, and oh my gosh, there she is with one of our other favorite guests. Wow. That's a dynamic duo. Hello, you two.
Hi, Scott. Hi, Vivian. Hi, Peter. I'm here with Kalina Molnar. Just wanted to drop in and say hello and say hello to one of our favorite Soul Search couples.
And this is their debut as a couple. It's the first time they've publicly, been on as a couple. We talked about how many of us grew up with Bewitched and I Dream of Jeannie, and they're the modern day version of that, right?
Exactly. I mean, they're a great example of, spiritual couples coming together and doing the work together, which is amazing. And, I love, both Vivian and Peter, both your work is so powerful. And it's just amazing to see you both working together, working on your own, working together and bringing forth, these technologies and these messages for the ascension during this time.
Thank you.
Kalina just blew our audience away. We so loved what she provided. Now, Kalina, do you have a connection to the Arcturians? Is that some part of your lineage?
Yeah, actually, about 25 years ago, I learned I was an Arcturian elder, and I didn't know what that meant then. So I don't go around telling people that. It's part of the healing. I feel the healing, connecting with the healing, the divine healing energy and stuff through the Arcturian.
Have you had a chance to spend time with Vivian?
No, not yet.
This is their first time meeting, I think. So Vivian, I'd like you to meet Kalina and Kalina, Vivian, both very powerful healers, both of you. So really excited for you guys both to connect in this way and continue connecting.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
They live in Arizona.
And Gilbert.
Yeah,
Okay.
so they're not too far from Sedona, but so we're just super excited. I'm so excited that you have them both on the show together, Scott, and that everyone gets to know a little bit more about both Vivian and Peter as a dynamic duo and everything that they're bringing forth into the world. So it's really exciting to be a part of all of this unfolding and everything that we're all bringing through together during these times. It's, you said, you're talking about Bewitched, and that's so funny because all of these, whether it's the Marvel, superheroes or all these supernatural stories and powers. I mean, that's what we're now bringing through for everyone and letting everyone know that, hey, like those fiction stories that you've read about, heard about, spoken about, there's so much more to life than you could possibly imagine, than any of those stories can even begin to convey. So it's really exciting times.
I agree.
It's amazing. And thank you, all of you, for how you're, just giving us all this new information. And the more we listen, the more we hear each other's stories, the more we believe, the more our imagination can really begin to comprehend this new consciousness, this new world. And opening our imaginations is very important so that we remember the divine beings that we are, so we can transcend this illusion of separation and remember that we are all multidimensional beings existing simultaneously in multiple places. And it's a beautiful thing. We're not just confined to these bodies.
Absolutely, Scott. That's a really good point that you're making about that we are ultimately, our profound nature is multidimensional and holographic in nature. And in addition to that, is that to understand that it is important to recognize what soul aspect you brought in to help you in core in this journey, this lifetime. So the invitation is also to stay focused in this lifetime, as opposed to be too preoccupied. What were you in the past lives? And and reading the Akashic record, do it in a way that it's supporting you today, in coring what you need. So, for example, in my case, I chose to be directly an Arcturian being. That's the form I have chosen to embody in this lifetime, knowing this is how I represent Prime Creator in this reality. And I understand also that there will come a time where I will transcend this Arcturian form and I will move on to another sphere of existence. In fact, I was given a choice about 4 years ago when I was taking out of time and space, and Creator, or an aspect of Creator, came to me and says, if you would, I'm giving you a choice to move on into the next phase of the next plane of existence, not dimensions, but the next plane of existence. And I was in the void communicating with an aspect of Prime Creator, and they said, I'm giving you a choice because you can do it right now. It's open to you. And I said, what will happen to this imprint recognized as Vivian Chauvet? This is my earthly name. What will happen to this imprint? And they said, you will simply stop to exist in this reality and you're going to move forward. And I felt the energy of my family and the impact I would have on people and on the earth herself. And I said, as much as I would like to move forward, I have a responsibility and I wish to continue my mission. This is perfect. It is perfectly in alignment with sending you back. And I was brought back right into this, what is called the blue creation. Blue creation encompasses thousands and thousands of dimensions and multitude of multiverse overlapping into this holographic field. And I was brought back into the earth plane and returned back in my body in the room that I was. But I've seen the great corridor that you can move, and you move out of different plane of existence. Creation is made of different plane, and each plane has purpose and function, and it has countless of dimension, countless. So when we talk about, oh, I can talk to the 15th dimension, it's just a spark in the scales of what this is really about. So this is why it's important to embrace that spark, that God spark in you, because you have creation in you, and your choice, your enlightenment, your presence constantly create choices and ripple effect in time and space. So if you are here, choose to be fully present. And I would say the word universe, it's still small compared to plane of existence. So just to show you, to illustrate the potential that we carry. And so we play roles, like I play this role as an Arcturian being, and who I am, this very advanced old being in this human form. But I know that it's just an aspect of infinity, just in perspective here. So I just want to sparkle that.
That's beautiful.
With that. Yeah.
Hey, we're almost done here, but I do want to let people know about your publications. And her website, for those of you watching, it's a beautiful name for her website. It's infinitehealingfromthestars.com. Infinitehealingfromthestars.com. And these are her publications. And you're creating more and more, and you're also creating a community. How can people become part of your online community?
Thank you, Scott. Thank you so much. Infinite Healing from the Stars came to me well over 10 years ago, and it's challenging for me to have concept of names in this reality. So the team says, well, we are infinite beings. I said, yes. Healing is going to be the next level of evolution and restoration. Yes. And they said, from this perspective of the earth, where are you from? I'm from the stars. And they said, there you go. So infinite healing from the stars. I do have an amazing, unique online community. We have memberships. We're on Patreon right now. Eventually, we're going to shift platform. But for right now, we have an online Patreon community. People from all over the world, literally. I mean, from one hemisphere of the planet to the next. It is incredible. We just came back from a private retreat for members only in Glastonbury, in England, and we traveled to Sacred Site. The level of work was off the chart. And every month we have meditations, we have private Zoom meeting, we do global events. We have a monthly event, which is more of like a class or teaching that you can learn from, apply the wisdom, get tools, learn. We also have the Arcturian holographic group healing every month. So each membership level has a unique benefits to it. And so I would recommend definitely on the website, it's under services and membership, and join us, see what we do. We have multiple posts. If you click on services, membership at the very bottom,
Got
Thank
it?
you. Thank
There
you
we
so
go.
much.
And you can join. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yes, this is just two of them. And we also developed, we meaning my delegation and I, we developed also a brand new 3 months program called Arcturian Healing Arts. You have to go up a little bit. Oh, thank you. Yes, you can
I
sign
tell
up.
you, I mean, I just want to
Yeah.
encourage everybody, when you're there, make sure that you sign up so you can keep track of all the amazing things that she is doing. So I'm
Oh,
doing
absolutely.
real
please.
quickly and encouraging everybody else while you're there, go down to the bottom,
Yay.
register, subscribe. Okay, now that I've subscribed, I'm going to go up to, here's the private group for healing friends.
No,
And
not that one. You can scroll a bit down. Perfect. In membership, I'm going to stay in membership. Perfect. The group healing right now, it's one of the unique tiers. And this one is including the Arcturian holographic group healing every month. This is my page. And you
Okay.
can see that each tier has different membership benefits, what we offer. We have also what's called the Global Initiative Zoom Gathering. We have, access to all the replays, the monthly classes, the group healing. We have pretty much a lot to offer, and our community is growing. And I'll tell you, many Starseed light workers, people are truly dedicated to their growth. So thank you for showing that tonight.
Absolutely. And I'm putting into the chat box for our Zoom room people how to join. So here's the direct link to the membership options there. Thank you. Well, I'm going to go to Tangela for a minute. Tangela, you always are doing all sorts of amazing things with Soul Search, and it's really exciting to see you there with Kalina. Is there anything you want to make sure our audience knows about?
Sure. Well, I just wanted to invite everyone for tomorrow. We're hosting a virtual book launch party for Lisa McCardle's new book, Palace of Light. We had Lisa on the show 2 weeks ago, and I got a little bit of experience with her in terms of her, personal journey, to write Palace of Light. And I just wanted to invite all of you to attend the launch party. It's going to be on Zoom. I think we have the Zoom link in there, Scott, with the password as well. It's going to be tomorrow night at 6:30 p.m. And Lisa is also a very profound channel, and she'll be bringing through some transmissions. Her book is really a guidebook for this time of ascension, and she has really some amazing messages coming through from the Council of Light. So we hope that all of you can join us there to support Lisa in this new book launch. We'll be there. And also we're excited to see everyone in Pasadena. We have a 2-day fair this weekend, June 3rd and 4th in Pasadena, a holistic healing expo. So if you guys are in the LA area, definitely hope you can stop by.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Great to see you, Kalina. Let's have you on the show again soon,
Yes.
okay?
We're going to plan something with Kalina coming up soon as well. She has a beautiful Divine Feminine event coming up as well. So that'll be fun for us to announce. And just so excited to see both Vivian and Peter, both of you here. Wonderful seeing you and feeling your energy as always. And thank you for sharing and all that you do. We love you guys.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Vivian, Peter, Tangela, Kalina. And as you know, we always open and close our shows with Omoshar music. So stick around for a couple as we turn it over to our beloved brother, Omoshar.
That would be me. Wow, what a beautiful show. I feel expanded and enlightened, and I feel, Vivian, it's amazing, just your presence, and Peter, I just feel so much more galactic connection just from being here and being open and not holding on. So thank you for that. Yay. And here's a song called Contemplate. So let's contemplate, shall we? Yes, let's contemplate.
Contemplating everything I knew. Seems as though there's not much left that I would hold on to. Contemplating what is pure and true. Sun and moon and stars and light and earth and water too. We are rising, soaring, flying, living life so free. We are flowing, changing, growing, loving all we see. Glad to know we're coming home again. Open hearts and open minds and open doors and loving friends. Look at the one who's standing by you now. Destiny is in our hands, so leave the density. We are rising, soaring, flying, living life so free. We are flowing, changing, growing, loving all we see. Turning to the face of those who need the light of truth to help them turn the other cheek and turn around. We lift each other up into the highest point of view so that together we can move to higher ground. Contemplating everything I knew. Seems as though there's not much left that I would hold on to. Contemplating what is pure and true. Sun and moon and stars and light and earth and water too. We are rising, soaring, flying, living life so free. We are flowing, changing, growing, loving all we see. One more time, Kiki. Turning to those who need the light of truth to help them turn the other cheek and turn around. We lift each other up into the highest point of view so that together we can move to higher ground. Tangela. Contemplating everything I knew. Seems as though there's not much left that I would hold on to.
Yeah, that gallery view. Let's all give some love to Omashar. Thank you, thank you, thank you, brother.
My pleasure, as always.
Much to contemplate after a show like tonight, right?
Well, I know. Well, it's bizarre because, as I was mentioning earlier, it's when you're in the presence of a galactic being from Arcturus, you tend to my perception has really expanded and it's noticeable, and I'm actually grateful. Thank you, because it's not that I haven't been there before, but things have been so dense that I haven't been able to go there again. So thanks, Vivian and Peter.
Absolutely. And remember, everybody, we can support Omashar by going to his website, omashar.com. It's his name. And there's a lot of good stuff there, his announcements. Most importantly, we want to buy his music. And it's always best to buy it from Bandcamp. That's the best place because he gets the most back. So let's support Omashar in that way.
And what's happening on Saturday?
Yes, I've got it right here. On Saturday, both of us will be back. I was going to go down to LA, but I am just going to stay in Ashland a little bit longer. So I will be co-hosting the show on Saturday night. And it's going to be one of our favorite moments shows. So we're going to have some wonderful clips from previous Global Peace Tribe shows. We're going to hear from Matt Kahn, Nina Gray, music with Elijah Ray, and Nina Gray. We're also going to hear from Deepak Chopra and Arika Briones. And who knows, we're going to have some other special guest experiences. So that's going to be on Saturday night. And on Sunday, we're doing an important show. Almost all of us know somebody, or perhaps even ourselves, that is still challenged by addictive patterns, compulsions. It's perfectly human, nothing to be ashamed of, but it is important to get support. And so I'm bringing on 4 beautiful souls that all are going to share resources for how we can consciously recover from addictions, from compulsions. So we're going to get a chance to hear from some really beautiful souls, and that'll be my Sacred Sunday show with, of course, Omashar on Sunday morning at 10 o'clock Pacific time. So that's what we've got happening this weekend. I certainly hope to see all of you then. Again, thank you so much, Vivian and Peter. I'm going to bring you on one more time for people to honor you and acknowledge you. Thank you for the wonderful work you're doing. Whoops, I brought in Christy Michaels instead of Peter. Well, there's Christy, and she's doing a show with us in July with Mary Magdalene. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you again, Peter and Vivian. Have a beautiful, beautiful weekend. I'm going to go to gallery view. Everybody can kind of say goodnight and take care. We will see you in a few nights on Saturday. Take care, everybody. Good night.
Namaste.